This clip is brought to you by SaveWithConrad.com.
You mean it wasn't the main event? Let's talk about it. Can't believe this is real.
Do we have to?
Unfortunately. Tony's going to give us a rundown of the rules, and he says, rules, I understand, are very simple. Hulk Hogan and Macho Man Randy Savage will start at the top as a gauntlet. Once they get through a cage, if they win in that particular cage, then those men would be eliminated till they work their way down to the bottom. If they can pin Hulk or beat Macho Man Randy Savage at any time. But Hogan and Savage must go through every man to win their match. And Bobby replied, rules? You're talking about rules? They don't care about rules. There aren't going to be any rules. They're going to get in that cage and go after the big white tiger, Hulk Hogan, and tear the yellow and red off his carcass. And you know it. So here we are. As a reminder, this is the similar style cage that you guys did back in 1988. I assume that's where this idea comes from. Just Sullivan warms up one of his old ideas. Would you guess that's the same?
So this is 3 cages, small one, bigger one, biggest one, right?
Yeah.
And you got to drop down from the small one to the middle one.
That's right.
And then you got to drop down from the middle one to the bottom one. And then you have a decision. Right?
Yep.
Well, number one, I got added into this some way, somehow. Once Kevin must have looked around and said, there's not a lot of guys that are going to do a lot of falling down in this thing. Look at the monster roster. And then you look at the baby faces. And so I guess my job, which I had nothing to do with the storytelling to get to this match. So I was just inserted to be a flow guy or somebody to keep getting his ass kicked, take some bumps, try to make it exciting. But boy, 8-on-2, creative control to me has always been a nasty word. And that night it became really relevant on how much strength and stroke and power those 2 words carry, because that was god awful. And there were people in it like Jeep Swenson, bless his heart, who's left us, who was a monster. The biggest arms I'd ever seen up to that point, and strong. And you had Zeus and you had Barb and Ming and all these guys, all these killers. And 2 guys beat them all.
Yeah.
That's not making baby faces. That's making you want to puke. And that's what the audience did. They just sat there and rocked back in their chairs, probably puked in their own mouth, because it probably wouldn't have been favorable to puke on the floor, but I bet a lot of people were wanting to. It just was shitty in its design, lousy in its preparation. The whole concept made no sense. And if you think 2 baby faces were made at the end of the day, then you're not a wrestling fan, because no way, no how should that have ended that way. No way, no how should that match have ever occurred. A lot of dangerous, it's a miracle you didn't have 4 guys blow out their knees dropping from one cage to another. It's a pretty good drop.
It's freaking terrible is what it is. It's just the whole thing. And by the way, your boy Brian Pillman opts out of the whole thing. He has throat surgery in Vanderbilt on March 13th. And Gene Okerlund on the hotline said he didn't have surgery and he was making it up. And he claimed the hospital, or he called the hospital, and they said there was no record of Pillman being there. That resulted in a legal letter from Pillman's agent to Okerlund, complete with a patient discharge sheet. And then, it looks like your boy is doing everything he can to get out of this. This is when he's doing his whole work shoot angle, I respect you, Booker Man, and all that stuff, where he got a real release and then used it as leverage to get a new deal from Vince McMahon. But still, he wants no part of this stinking main event, even though he was announced and advertised and promoted. Were you surprised that Pillman pulled up lame for this?
He's the smartest man in the locker room at that time. He saw it was going to be a stinker just like I did, and he finagled it into his own angle that he had going, and he got out of it. I'm telling you, it was one of the all-time lows, and he dodged a bullet and got out of it. Kudos to Pillman.
Wade Keller reported there was a push by Hulk Hogan behind the scenes for Brian Pillman to be added to the match. Sources say that Hogan wanted a leg drop and pin Pillman on the pay-per-view since Pillman had been getting so much attention lately, but Pillman fought the idea and ended up compromising and returning to WCW sort of on Monday Nitro by attacking Savage at the end of the match. Originally, Hogan was supposed to beat up Pillman, and Zeus and Swenson were supposed to save him, but Pillman appeared to refuse to cooperate with Hogan by pulling away from him when Hogan grabbed him. It's conceivable that Pillman will fill one of the final two slots, although One Man Gang and either Shark or Warlord are still slated to fill the final two positions. And we know, boy, this is just a stinker. And again, he uses, maybe he had a real surgery. Maybe he didn't. Maybe this was rumor and innuendo. Maybe it wasn't, but he avoided a real stinker. You mentioned Jeep Swenson. He was originally promoted as the ultimate solution. As the final solution. Of course, some Jewish organizations took issue with that, so they renamed him the Ultimate Solution. Once upon a time, he was a wrestler down in World Class, I think, and even had a feud with Bruiser Brody. I think most people remember him from that Batman and Robin movie, though. You liked him, though. You said a minute ago he was as big as a house. You had good interactions with him?
Yeah, I mean, as far as being a nice guy, he was a nice guy. He just couldn't work.
Right. Guys
that size are one-dimensional. It's okay when they're knocking enhancement talent down 2 or 3 times and then winning. Zeus couldn't work. My God. He couldn't do anything for anybody. Everything would, you had to just keep him on his feet, creaming guys. But then, the audience starts to see through that. It was just surrounding Hulk with as many monsters as he could possibly beat, defeat, look good with. And I don't think Hulk even realized at the time that the audience saw through it.
Right.
And you were in the audience. Didn't you see through it?
Yeah. I mean, this was a stinker. This is not a pay-per-view I watch live for a lot of reasons.
And again, Rick and I were just tossed in there as cannon fodder. And I don't complain about it. I showed up every day at that company or any company that I work for to this day. And whatever they want, that's what they get, and this is not about me, but you had a couple of professionals in there. You had more people that were disinterested than not. You had a couple people that were completely lost. And then you had, a couple of baby faces trying to take advantage of that mass confusion and somehow get over. And it didn't. And it will be viewed in history as just the screaming shits.
Meltzer would write, Hulk Hogan and Randy Savage beat Ming, Barbarian, Ric Flair, Arn Anderson, Kevin Sullivan, Lex Luger, Z Gangsta, and Ultimate Solution in 25 minutes and 16 seconds. Hogan and Savage worked with Flair and Anderson on the top level and then threw powder at them to go to the middle level. There they faced Sullivan, Luger, Ming, and Barbarian. They locked Ming and Barbarian in half of the middle level cage, and then the other 4 wound up in the wrestling ring. Finally, Jeep and Zeus, who weren't even there at the beginning, showed up. They dragged Hogan and Savage into the bottom level of the cage, and it only got worse since they couldn't work. Somewhere while all this was going on, Ming and Barbarian were let out of the cage and simply walked backstage. Finally, Sullivan, Luger, Flair, and Anderson were in the bottom of the cage, so it was 6-on-2. Jimmy Hart gave Lex Luger a loaded black glove, and he went to hit Savage, who ducked. Then he held up, then changed his mind, and KO'd Flair for the pin. -3 stars. The finish of this thing, Arn, it would have to improve to be the shits, I think, is an Arn Anderson line. Is that right?
It wasn't that good.
Yeah, real bad.
Embarrassed that I will take my share in it. I was part of the company. Don't ever make me watch this again. I'm telling you.
No, yeah.
Like,
we should actually give a peek behind the curtain. I got a text from Arn yesterday that says, do we really have to do this one? Can we pick a backup topic? So we've already got the research and it's the anniversary. He's like, can we do anything else? I'll do anything else. And I somehow got you to agree to do this.
Well, I do not want to get on here and constantly be negative and sound like I'm bitter, because I'm not. I mean, I had a job. I was taking care of my family, but trying to be a professional day to day and see some of the crap that was getting pushed through just because you have creative liberty. Whew, man.
This is a rough one.
Yeah, I did ask you to get out of this one because it's not good for the audience either. I got a feeling right now, liquor cabinets are being opened all over the world. There's a lot of depressed listeners. Guys, it's over. It's done. I promise we're going to be upbeat going forward.
Hey, real quick. I believe Klondike Bill made this cage. That had to add to your stress level, right?
I bet he never crawled up to the top. Klondike Bill's a good man. He was a valuable employee to Jim Crockett and I guess WCW, but whoever made that cage and really made it and saw it when it was finished, they certainly saw it from the ground. Nobody went up there to inspect it because I hate heights, and that sumbitch was pretty much up there.
Hey, it's Conrad Thompson. Thanks for checking out the podcast here on YouTube. Be sure to hit the subscribe button and the notifications bell so you get a notice anytime we upload some new content. And go save yourself some money right now. If you're in a 30-year loan or you have credit card debt, it's not a matter of if I can save you money. It's a matter of how much. Find out right now for free at SaveWithConrad.com.